This is Andy Purewal for Boxing Social in association with Betfred, and I'm delighted joined by British heavyweight Fabio Wardley over Zoom. Fabio, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How's things with you, mate? How was everything?
Everything's all good. Firstly, Happy New Year. Hope you had a good one. Did you have a good Christmas period?
Yeah, it did. Nice time in it. Just family time. Good to see everyone, catch up with everyone, just be around. And one of the first Christmases in a little while as well. I've been able to like properly enjoy and just have fun with the family as well. So yeah, it's been nice. It was been a good time.
I was going to say, on the back of the website, I know you said you was going to just take some time out just to let your body recover. As you know, for you yourself, it's been quite a grueling 18 months or so through the pandemic in terms of you've actually been quite active, and there's been a steady progression in kind of a level of opponents that you've been facing. So how nice of a period has it been for you just to have that period off before getting into the gym again this week?
Yeah, no, it's been brilliant. Like I say, like the kind of pandemic period has been like one of my probably the busiest period of my career so far. Whereas for a lot of people it was a quiet period, but for me, I was just fighting there on back to back every 3 or so months. So it took its toll on my body a bit, and I needed to just I needed to get on top of it before it turned into something more, before they turned into needing surgeries and then needing 6 to 9 months out and everything else like that. So prevention's better than the cure.
You had those two fights last year, as we mentioned, Nick, and you had Eric Molina prior to that. Just to kind of go back on it, how would you assess those performances, those wins, and how it sets up this year for you?
Yeah, good. Like I say, the Molina one was good. It was more of a testing fight for me, different problems for me to figure out, different issues for me to kind of get through. Got clocked, had to deal with that as well. And then the Nick Webb one was just a different story where I just had to kind of go again. Started a bit sluggish, took a few shots that weren't. It wasn't. They're my own problem. They're my own fault. I need to sharpen up there a touch, but. And then obviously got him cleaned out in the round or so, and was happy with that performance. It was a good dominating performance, an impressive performance on my part, which I'm happy with. So on to the next one.
On to the next one. It sets up a positive look in 2022 for yourself, Fabio. So, first and most obvious question, other than Nathan Gorman, is there anybody who you have kind of looked at and you'd like to step into the ring with?
Um, Not really. No, there's not. I don't really tend to look at people too much. I look like I've said for a while now. I just look towards belts, and whoever seems to be in that region, who's on that kind of platform as well, then fine, set them up. I'm happy to get stuck in. There's no one I'm adverse to fighting. There's no one I don't want to fight, and there's no one particularly I'm too crazy about fighting. I don't have any extra needle with anyone or any extra issue with anyone, which I feel like I need to pick out. It's just as and when they come, I'm just always wanting to be in good high level testing fights, and just I'm still, although in the later stages, I'm still in the development part of my career. So I'm only 12 fights in. I still need to get a few good fights under myself. Still need to go a few rounds. Like the most I've ever done still is six. So I just need to get a few more out of that and just test out a few more things, and then we're good to go really.
I'm interested to know, Fabio. I know you've spoken previously about your desires to win the British title, but we have seen you have a few foreign opponents come over and you've stepped into the ring with. If it was to be Nathan Gorman, you said before you'd like to have the British title on the line. Is there anybody else domestically who does catch your eye? I know you don't want to call anyone out and you've just kind of gone over it, but if it isn't Nathan, do you think the most likely route then for you is to look back abroad, maybe at that American scene again?
Yeah, it just depends on level. And the thing is with the British heavyweight scene is that there's such a gap. There's such a gap of like you go from kind of your lower levels. There's not really even a medium level. Probably like me and Nathan and a few other kind of in that little medium level. But there's only maybe three or four of us, and then you've got the people who are starting out. You've got the middle level, and then you just boom, you're straight to the top with it. So that's why it leaves it a little bit difficult. But other people like I don't know. There's me. There's Nathan. Cash Ali's doing all right as of late. Dave Allen potentially, depending on where he's at and what he's doing with himself. Probably them three are potential fights for me this year. Depending on where they all sit, what they're all doing with themselves, what all of their plans are. They're all possible fights. They're not ruled out in the slightest, but they're probably the only ones are really that are in my region. There's no anyone else aside from that would probably be a step down or a step up and a step way too far. So that's kind of it's kind of where it leaves me. And then international for me is not a problem. Like that's always a good little kind of medium ground because there's a few more places to go with it, a few more different people to look at, a few more avenues, kind of older people like Molina's who are well experienced, done a lot, been around the game a lot, but in their later years. And they're more there for me to test myself out and go against just a good level of opponent.
With the Gorman fight in particular, Fabio, have you got a time frame in mind as to when you would like that to happen if it was to do so this year?
Not particularly. There's nothing set in stone anyways. Ultimately, I'm still talking about a belt that belongs to Joe Joyce. But with his hand injury and stuff, obviously it's extremely likely that he's going to have to vacate that. So there's no real timeline set. I'm obviously going to need a fight to get back. I assume Nathan's going to want to do the same as well, because he would have been out of the ring for a little while as well. So probably a likely place is summer, June, July, something like that, where we both maybe had a fight, had a bit of time, enough time to get a full camp in as well, and just go from there, really.
Have you spoken to the board at all with regards to Joe's British title?
No, it's probably something that me and the team will do over the next few weeks or so, but obviously only just starting into the new year. Joe's hand injury is quite recent news as well. So with that, we're able to put a bit more pressure on. But like I said, there's no point going to the board straight away and saying, oh, well, push for me to be kind of the next in line when I want to get a fight in myself. So I might do it just before or just after kind of thing, or maybe even touch base with them in a week or two, but let them know kind of what our intentions are.
Fabio, just away from yourself, I want to get your thoughts on a few other things in the heavyweight division. I'm sure you're aware, your manager, Wilder-Chisora, and we saw the WBC say that a split of 80-20 in favour of Tyson Fury would be approved if it went to purse bids. I just want to get your thoughts when you heard that or when you saw that.
Yeah, I think it's a real big slap in the face. I think because I think Twitter that day was going quite crazy with it and busy with pulling out all the kind of the WBC rulings, their own regulations, words that they've put out themselves, saying that the lowest I think they could ever go to is 30, and then to put out something for 20 is just ridiculous. And then the highest they've gone to in certain circumstances are like 40, 45, something like that. So to offer 20 is just, especially for someone like Dill who's been chasing and stayed loyal to the WC for so long, to just for them to go and offer him 20 pieces, just a slither of the pie, and it's, like I say, a massive slap in the face.
Have you had any conversations at all with Dillian about how he's kind of just feeling about it all? Because I know, as you say, he's been after that title for a long time, and I'm sure he's very frustrated with hearing that news.
Yeah, I've not really spoken to him about it, to be honest. He's quite, like, the thing is with this, nothing really surprises him anymore. He's numb to it almost. There's not a point where like this stuff doesn't happen and he gets all animated and gets angry and does whatever. He almost just shrugs his shoulders like almost like he half knew something like this would come. But he'll go through the right processes. He'll do things the right way. And he'll get it sorted and resolved in the right manner.
Just kind of away from that, but sticking with Fury, though, we did see some comments that a potential bout between Tyson and Andi Ruiz or Robert Helenius could happen in the interim whilst Dillian's arbitration's ongoing with WBC. Just get your thoughts on, what would you make of a Fury Ruiz fight in the interim up until a Dillian White fight could be agreed?
Fury Ruiz would be a great fight. It'd be a really good fight to watch. Really interesting fight. Maybe Robert Helenius, not so much, not particularly. It hasn't got the same appeal. But I think with Andi Ruiz, with a smaller, shorter, stockier guy trying to get in under someone who's obviously so big, so rangy, like Tyson Fury, could pose a few problems and make it quite an interesting fight. You've seen in the past that Fury's had problems with even levels like cruiserweights that have obviously had that knockdown and things. So you've seen there that can pose an issue for him. So it'd be interesting to see someone like Andi Ruiz, who, to be fair, didn't look the best in his most recent performance, but still can offer a lot.
Another thought I want to get your thoughts on, which could happen if both teams and both sides agree to it, is Hrgovic Parker in the final eliminator for the IBF title. But your thoughts if that one was to be agreed upon by both teams and go ahead?
Really good fight. Really good fight. I think it's a great fight for both of them as well, because Parker's been sitting in that kind of middle place for a while now. Like, he had the back-to-back fights with Chisora, which were good fights, probably commercially and also like entertainment-wise. But in terms of pushing his career at forward, they probably didn't do too much for him. Whereas with Hrgovic, he's been kind of left in the just wayward, off in nowhere on his own, really, just fighting pretty much nobody's. Everyone's just been a bit kind of, he's been touted to be this great big next kind of thing, and he's not stepped into that new scene of them high level opponents. So with both of them kind of being in that medium place, I think it's going to be a really good fight for the pair of them. I think it will turn out to be a really interesting fight if it does come off.
Mentioning Derek Chisora there in your answer, Eddie Hearn said he would not be opposed to seeing a potential Deontay Wilder fight there. Would you have any interest in seeing that?
No, I would definitely. I'd like to see it. The thing is with Derek, yeah, he's got this far with his career because he is who he is. There's no way, like, there's not many boxing fans who won't tune into a Derek Chisora fight. They're just, you don't know what's going to happen. Sometimes you just don't know where it's going to go. You don't know what he's going to do. The build up would be interesting. The press conference, all of it would be just an interesting to see. So the thing is with Derek, and I think a lot of us think that maybe he's at the back end. He should probably just like chuck it in, but he's not gonna. So if he's going to keep going, then he might as well be in interesting fights and ones everyone's going to watch.
And then two big domestic clashes on the horizon. I was trying to get your thoughts on, Fabio. Firstly, Khan Brook in February. Your take?
I'd give it to Khan, I think. I just feel out of the pair of them, Khan will be the better prepared, who will be more kind of, I don't want to say dedicated because that's partially an insult, but I feel like he would just be the more really up for it, really going for it, putting all the work in, making sure he's on top of things, on top of his weight, all of that. So I just think he'll be, and I think he'll be the sharper. And like I said, out of his last few fights versus kind of Kells, I still think, although they've both got quite a few, he's got quite a few losses even, that he'll look better, and he's looked better in those fights, that he'll be a bit sharper to the point of everything, and he'll just be on the ball with it a bit more, is what I think, through the whole process.
As a heavyweight, Fabio, you have that luxury of not needing to worry about making weight, but we know that with that fight, it's been agreed at 149, and they can't weigh more than 163 the day after. A lot of people picking up on that and seeing the advantages it might give to Amir Khan. What's your take? How much of a detrimental effect do you think that could have on Cal Brook, knowing that he's got to get down to 149 and can't go above 163?
Yeah, I think it's not great for him. Not great for him at all. Whether it massively takes away from him in the fight, who knows? But it's definitely not. It's definitely a plus for Khan and not a plus for him. It's because one of his aspects is one of the good things about him is he can shrink down and can puff up so quickly after a fight as well. He has had, I wouldn't go as far as saying maybe weight issues, but he's always, sometimes him making weight has been a bit tentative. So going into this and knowing that he can't balloon up straight after may pose a bit of an issue for him.
The final one, I'll get your thoughts on Fabio. He's going to have a rearranged date. I think it's February 5th. I saw tweeted earlier for Eubank Jr. and Liam Williams. Again, your thoughts, if that one does go ahead on February 5th, what do you expect to see happen?
Yeah, I think that's going to be a nice entertaining fight. I really do. I like Liam Williams. Eubank is Eubank. You know what he's going to bring. And since he's been kind of under the tutelage of Roy Jones, he's made improvements. He's looked better. It's been good to see him. So how he comes through on that night against a real opponent now, someone top level, someone who is good, who's credible, who's punches really hard as well, will be interesting to see. But I think even the build up of that between them two will be something to watch as well.
All right, Fabio, we'll leave it there now, and I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening. I appreciate your time as always, and I look forward to seeing you back out soon. Thank you for speaking to me on Boxing Social.
No dramas, mate. Always. I'll catch you soon.